This afternoon, we're interviewing Kent L. Shook, who was born in Troy, Ohio on July the 11th, 1944. He served in the United States Army, achieved the rank of Specialist 4 from November 1968 to June of 1970. He was served in Germany during the Vietnam conflict. He was stationed in Dachau with the 77th Transportation of the 109th Battalion, 7th Army. This interview is being done for the American Library of Congress, Veterans History Project, and the Miami County Veterans History Project, sponsored by Post 43 American Legion in Troy, Ohio. My name is Robert J. Shook. I'm the interviewer, and it's my pleasure today to be interviewing my nephew, Kent. Kent, if you'll just start for us today, and just start from the beginning where you were born, who your mom and dad were a little bit, something about them, and then maybe something about any family members who were in the service and so forth, and then go on to talk about getting in school, and then when you got drafted, you're married, single, and so forth. So let's just chat for a while on that, okay?
Okay.
Let's start out, where were you born and so forth?
Okay, I was born in Troy, Ohio, at the Stouter Hospital in July 11th, 1944. My parents, my dad is Garnard Shook, and my mom is Harriet Shook. My mom lived in Dayton, and her last name was King, Harriet. And her mom and dad passed away when she was young, and she lived with her aunt.
And she met Garner, I think, in Dayton, didn't she?
I think they went to the same school or something.
Well, he was going to Sinclair, going to college to Sinclair. Okay.
Yeah. And we lived up on Lake Street, lived there for 18 years.
And you had how many in the family then? You had an older
I
brother?
had an older brother, Skip, and then a younger sister. Is about 12 years difference between me and her.
We always call him Skip, but what was his real name?
Charles Leon.
And your sister's name?
Cindy.
Cindy. Okay.
Yeah.
Is Cindy still living in Troy?
Yes, she is, yes.
And I think that
She
your brother
married,
Charles passed on, is that correct?
Right.
Yes.
And she married Tom Gulker.
Mm-hmm. But did you have any uncles in the military service?
Yes, I did. I had Bob
What
Shook.
fact was your dad?
Yeah, my dad, he was in the Navy Reserves. And my uncles, Vic Shook, he was in the Air Force. And Bob Shook, he was in the Army. And Paul Shook, he was in the Air Force too, I believe.
And both Paul and Vic were in when? During the Second World War, I think, weren't they?
Yes, they were, right.
Do you remember how many missions Vic had over Germany?
I think you said 6.
No, he had 25.
Wow, okay.
He was in Hell's Angels, 8th Air Force, and 25 missions. And then Brother Paul, or your uncle Paul, was a Air Force cadet and broke his shoulder.
Right. Yes.
And he never got into the action. And then, of course, I was during the Korean War and stationed in Germany also. Well, so we had to review the family a little bit there, Kent. That helps them, right?
Yes.
Now, let's go on. Then you went to school in Troy, and
I went to Troy High School. I graduated out of Troy High School.
what year was that?
It was 63.
Okay.
And I married my wife in 65. Her name is Mary. Her last name was Plank. And we've been married for 48 years.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Huh? 48 years. And then, so what kind of work were you doing then?
I've always worked in a supermarket.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked at Fulmer's and during school. And then when I got out of school, I started working at Marsh's in Troy.
You were there a long time, weren't you?
I worked there for 14 years, and then I worked in the marshes in Piqua for, I don't know, about 7. And then I worked for Jim Grissom in the Grissom stores up there. And then I went to Days Market, worked there. And then I went to Cub Foods in Dayton, worked there.
Well, now going back to you were out of school and working, did you get drafted in the military?
Yes, I got drafted in 68. I remember that we just bought a home, and I got a letter in the mail saying that I was drafted. And so I thought, well, boy, it's going to be hard to pay for my house now.
Yeah.
We made it, and I got my papers, and then I went to Cincinnati for my induction, and then we was signed in there, and
But so that's where you took your pre-induction
Right,
physicals
yeah.
and so forth?
yes.
And then they brought you back, you rode down the bus or what?
Yeah, we went to the airport, and they flew us to, I think it was Georgia, where it was South Carolina. And went into South Carolina, and then I was stationed at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. That's where the bus took us to there for my training there.
So when you were inducted in Cincinnati, they flew you then after you were inducted to Fort Jackson.
Right, well, yeah,
And that, what city is that close to?
Fort Jackson, Columbia,
Columbia, right?
yeah,
That's central, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my training there, and then after we had the training, I took my advanced training there too.
Well, before you leave your basic training, though, let's go back. What was your first reaction going in the military about people yelling at you and throwing clothes at you and cutting your hair and
Oh,
everything?
yeah, yeah. I remember when we first arrived there, I was just, we got my hair all cut off, you know, real bald and everything. My ears stuck out, you know. And anyway, they was really getting on us right off the bat, you know. And there was a bunch of, we was sitting around, there was a bunch of sergeants come up, and they must have picked me out of the crowd or something. Anyway, they called me up front, and it was hot down in South Carolina that day. And anyway, they kind of straightened me up pretty quick. Anyway,
Well, why did they pull you out?
I don't know. I think they just seen that skinny little guy back there and said, "I think we gonna pick on him." So, but
This is when you first arrived there then, huh?
right, yeah.
What kind of barracks did you have?
We had the older barracks because it had the floor that you had to buff all up, and it was the older barracks. It wasn't the newer barracks.
Was it all wooden barracks, you mean, two-story?
Yeah, yeah,
World War II type?
yeah, right. And then we weren't allowed to go to the hut or anything. The hut was where you could get snacks and stuff. For the first couple of weeks, we weren't allowed to get any of the snacks or to do any of that. So.
Well, what kind of food did you get? Was it good?
It was okay. It wasn't like home cooking. But it was okay.
Well, you were getting your adjustment then, being called out and having food. How about your uniforms? Did they throw those at you? Did they give you measured uniforms?
Oh yeah, you went in through and got all your shots, and then you got your uniforms and got boots. I think my boots was about 2 sizes too big. I had to take them back because they was hurting my feet. And anyway, we went to tests to find out what she's going to be, and so we took the test, and after the test, I think they found out that I was more for transportation, for driving and stuff, because I heard that if you take the test, you don't want to say anything about walking. You wanted to say that you knew how to fix trucks, you knew how to ride. Anything about trucks, you could drive them, and anything else. You didn't want to say anything about walking, or you'd be in the infantry, that's for sure.
They give you a chance to walk into infantry, right?
Yeah, so right. So But anyway, finally the test come back, and they found out I was in transportation, so.
Well, tell me this about what kind of basic trains you have. Do you have weapons? They teach you how to shoot weapons and.
They taught you how to shoot weapons and how to march, and really to be more on your own, and yeah.
Would you feel yourself being more separated from civilian life, more into military?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yes, you did.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now you've taken the test and it says that. Anything from basic training you remember about crawling in the mud or anything else that's outstanding that bothers you a little bit?
Yeah, we had to do that. I remember that we went out on maneuvers and at nighttime, and we had firing over our head, and we had to crawl under the barbed wire fence, and I had bombs blowing up around us and all that. And then we had our training on for weapons, and we had to go out in maneuvers, and it was rainy down there, so it was pretty muddy at times too.
Well, when you were in the field, did you get nice sea rations to eat or?
Yeah,
meal?
it was just a regular rations, yeah.
Yeah, regular. You didn't have to worry about those M rations or C rations.
Right. No.
Well, that's one break. When you're on the, did you take a lot of marching trips, like 5 miles, 10 miles marches and so forth?
Oh yeah, our platoon sergeant, he was old time school. He'd get us up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and he'd make us march. Oh, I know, probably 5 mile, 8 mile, and then we'd come back for breakfast, and then we'd start in our regular routine. But he was a tough old sergeant, that's for sure.
Would you have some guys around you that didn't adapt and that
Oh,
sort of
yeah,
rebelled? What
sure
happened to
did.
them?
Well, this one guy kept getting everybody in trouble. Oh, they give him a blanket party one night. They kind of straightened him up pretty good. So, yeah.
What was the blanket party?
Well, he would like take the end of the broom and use the wrong end and try to sweep the floors. Would do anything to try to get out of the military, you know. And he was getting us all in trouble. Anyway, so wasn't me. I wasn't in on it, but one night they just ganged up on him and threw a blanket on him and started hitting him a few times. But he could straighten up after that.
Well, how many duty rosters did you get on? Did you get KP often and guard duty?
Probably as much as anybody else, yeah. I remember one time they come around, because he didn't want to volunteer for anything in the Army. But they come around, and me and old Carter and Sergeant asked if he needed some volunteers. So me and old Carter said, yeah, we'll do it. You know. Anyway, it was volunteers. They had a ball game going on. They wanted a bunch of spectators in the thing, so they let us go over to fill up the grandstand. And that was pretty nice, because we could get beer and eat popcorn. So nobody else back in the barracks allowed to do that.
So that's one time paid to volunteer
Yes,
then,
it
huh?
did. Right.
Well, now, this basic training was in 1968, right?
Yes, sir.
And lasted until when? Do you roughly had first of the year, or do you?
Well, I forget how many weeks we had of basic training. And then after that, we had our AIT. And
What's an AIT?
it's advanced infantry training.
Okay.
But
What was-
ours was advanced driving help, because we started drove like Jeeps, Deuce and a Half, 5 tons in combat area, like, so up and down mountain roads, and we would be right on each other's bumper at nighttime, just running, no lights at all.
Well, so your advanced training was, you started already then in your training for what you'll be doing in the service, right?
Right.
Tell us what it means to be in the Transportation Corps. What was your mission? What were you supposed to do?
Army and transportation, we was to supply the troops of food rations or anything that they needed.
So when you went a special group like artillery or armored or infantry, that you were supplied
We was the suppliers, right. We run the Deuce and the Hass with food and clothing, toilet paper, whatever they needed is what we ran to the infantry or whatever.
So, but you were driving them. Well, what was the training, what did it entail? Did it entail, first of all, let's go back. When you had a truck, a Deuce and a half is what, a normal, what size of trucks did you have?
Well, most of the time it was 5-ton, and that was troop carriers. It was a pretty good size truck. They had a canopy on it, and you could take canopy off in the summertime. It'd be open back truck, but it was.
Well, when you say 5-ton and a Deuce and a half, that just designates the size of the truck, right?
Right, yeah.
5-ton, was that the biggest truck they had?
No, they had bigger trucks than that.
Did you drive those?
Not right at the moment. I didn't until I got to my designated area where I was supposed to serve at.
Okay. All right, so you're being trained on the 5 tons and Deuce and a halves then?
Right, yes.
And how many was in the crew? Just you as a driver, or did you have an assistant driver, or what?
Right, we always had a shotgun, what you call it, shotgun. You had 2 people to the truck.
Would you take turns driving?
Oh, yeah, right. But during our training, though, you may have a whole load of people in the back that there would be, you would have the sergeant as your shotgun, and then you would drive a while, and then somebody else would drive a while. And they get to train on the trucks like that.
Were you trained to watch for example, if you were in combat, for mines?
Mines,
or
right, yeah.
How was that? Well, tell us about the training you got. It must be more than just driving a truck, obviously. Yeah.
Well, it was on rough roads and mountain area, and we had at certain times you had enemy fire firing at you that they'd set up, and you'd have bombs going off on different areas and different things. And sometimes it was at nighttime that you couldn't see nothing, but they had little cat eyes, what they call cat eyes, on the back of the truck, and you follow them. You would have to be from maybe 5 foot to 10 foot apart, and you'd be right on each other, and you'd be doing 25 or 30 mile an hour.
So I was going to say, those are blackout lights you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
So you didn't drive with headlights. You didn't see. All you could see was what, the little.
Just the little dots in front of it. Yeah.
Well, who was leading the convoy then?
Usually it was one of the sergeants.
Was he in a vehicle like a Jeep or something, or a
Most
small
of the time,
car?
yeah. Right. Yeah. And then we got, everybody was going to Vietnam when I was doing our training, and our training was up, and we kept seeing everybody going to Nam, and he said, well, we're going to Nam, but we come up, and when our training was over, we looked on the list, and they said Germany. I said, what? It was unreal. But so everybody in our group that did that training for that period of time went to Germany. Then everybody after us went to Vietnam too. So.
Well, let's go back a little bit. You mentioned, did you form up some good buddies, or anybody from home be in your same unit, or what?
I met quite a few people that was from the area that got drafted to induction center down in Cincinnati at the same time we did. We met at the post office here in Troy and got on a bus, and then they took us to Cincinnati. And
But did your group stay together?
yes, all of them. We stayed together all the way. It was pretty interesting.
So you had people then from home with your unit then?
Right, yeah. I had Clayton Carter, he was from Xenia, and I ran her in Russell A. He was from, I think, Urbana.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some people around this area that was going in.
Well, now, when you got through advanced training, you got your orders to go overseas. When was this? First part of 69?
Yeah, it was probably, because our training and everything, yeah, it was early in 69.
Did they ship the entire unit, including vehicles, or you just shipped personnel?
No, they shipped the personnel. We went to Fort Dix, New Jersey, and we flew from South Carolina to Fort Dix, and we got on there, and then we flew to Frankfurt, Germany. And well, it was too foggy. We couldn't land in Frankfurt, so they sent us to another town that we could land in there.
Wiesbaden Air Force Base?
I forget where it was at.
Okay.
But anyway, we landed there, and it was pretty close to the mountains, because you had to fly over the mountains and come down in this area. Anyway, we landed there, and the plane fueled up, and then everybody, we got off there for a little bit, went into the airport, and then we got back on. And I can remember me and old Carter was sitting, we're looking out the windows, and all we could see is mountains down this runway, you know. Anyway, the driver parks the plane, he gets clear back at the runway, and he starts it up, and the whole plane was shaking. He locked the brakes on, you know. He could just hurry and go, the brakes locked up. Anyway, all of a sudden he takes off down this runway, and all of a sudden me and Carter's looking, he said, and then the plane just took right up off of that and just went right up over the mountains. Whoa.
What kind of plane was it, remember?
It was one
Big
of
one?
the big planes, yeah.
Well, you went back to Frankfurt then?
Then we finally went back to Frankfurt, landed there, and then we spent
What kind of welcome did you get in Frankfurt? Any at all, or just,
well, it was at a base. It was at an Army base that we was at.
so they had people there, vehicles to haul you around probably, huh? Buses or?
Yeah, they took us to the barracks, and Sargent was explaining that, well, you're going to be doing transportation here, driving semis. And he said, we had no training on semis. We drive little trucks, you know. Well, you're going to be driving semis for the commissaries.
Well, what size of semis? Big
Oh,
cabs?
yeah, regular semis, you know. You had
But they were
tractor
military.
trailers, yeah. And so anyway, they sent us to Bremerhaven, and we were supposed to get our orders there, so we took a train to Bremerhaven.
So from
We got
Frankfurt, you took the train?
to Bremerhaven, that's way up north. And,
Oh, yeah, it's a nice train ride, isn't it?
yeah, and we landed there for a day or two, and then they said our orders was in Gießen. So we went to Gießen, and then they said, no, this ain't where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be in Munich. So I got on another train. We went to Munich. And we finally got there after about a week later, running all over the place.
So you went from Bremerhaven to Gießen?
Garmisch,
Darmstadt,
yeah.
and then from Darmstadt to
To
Munich?
Munich.
They took you from one end of Germany to the other end of Germany?
Yes, they did.
And so this took up how much time? A couple weeks?
Took about a week,
Week?
yeah.
Well,
And
then
we-
you got to, what they were doing, they gave you a tour of Germany.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Well, what was your reaction to Germany then at that time?
Well, the only thing we was doing is hopping trains.
Yeah.
We'd get down off of one train. I remember one time we was landed in this big train depot, and we had like 5 minutes to get from train track 1 to train track 24, and we was carrying all of our gear with us, you know. So here we are running down this depot, and people are all over, and they're probably saying, oh, how stupid these people look running down here, you know. But anyway, we got on the train, and we got to Munich.
But they weren't, you were actually on civilian trains, not on a military train.
Right, yeah, there was civilian trains, yeah. And then we sent us to, said we was going to be, our company would be in Dachau, so they got on a bus and drove us to Dachau.
What did you know about Dachau at that time? Anything at all?
No, I didn't, Bob, but I sure learned that that's where the concentration camps was at, and the SS Army was at, and that's one of the barracks. We stayed in the barracks with the SS, where the SS stayed at earlier years, and the walls was like 3 feet thick.
The barracks you say were concentrated, I mean, they were former German troops.
Right, that was
I mean,
former
most of
German
the
troops.
concerns, most of them were German
Right,
buildings.
yeah. And they was talking about on our post there, because the concentration camps was just right behind us. There was a big fence between the two. And they said that, well, they had it closed off, but they had a tunnel that run all the way from Dachau to Munich, which is like 20 miles. And it was like a 4-lane highway down there that they brought all the German stuff through it when the German war was running.
Well, so now you're in Dachau, and this is Company B of the 109th Battalion.
Yes.
And so are you going to be doing semis here, or are you doing fives? What do you be doing?
We're going to take a training on the semis to show us how to drive the semis. But the training we was just shotgunning with somebody for about 4 or 5 days, and then they cut you loose on the road yourself over there.
Well, these were all manual shifts, weren't they? They weren't automatic transmissions.
No, yeah, they were 10 speeds over. You had an over and under switch, so you really had 20 speeds. You know, they were IEC cab over trailer, and
Well, they had a hard cab on them. They have a soft cab.
they had a hard cab. It was
Okay.
they were
regular.
It was regular, yeah, civilian semis,
What
but
did
they
you-
were painted in green.
Now, Dachau was a supply hub then.
Well, that's just where we worked out at. We would like get a load, say going to Gießen or Garmisch or Nuremberg. Well, you take a load up there in Nuremberg, and then you drop it, and you pick another load up, and you take it to maybe another Army camp, or it could be an Air Force base. It could,
Well, would you ship mainly food or all kinds of merchandise?
It was food. It was toilet paper. It was just about anything that the commissaries would carry.
So it was actually a commissary. You didn't haul any tanks, military equipment?
Yeah, we hauled on flatboys. We had hauled tanks and deuce and a half and 5 tons and yeah.
Why would you haul them? Would you haul them to ordnance for repair, or?
Right, I think that's mostly what it was, repaired and get them back out. Yeah.
Now, this is the time of year now, we're still in 69, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
And so what, the spring of 69 or summer, or?
It was a summer. It was summer, yes.
Well, I think then Mary come over and join you. When
Right.
did she come?
My wife came over. I was over there about 2 months before she come over. And then she come over, and it was cold weather. December when she came out. And, but I remember that when she got there, that I had to leave and take a load. So I found an apartment in the Germans, and so we had an apartment off the base. And then it was right on the main road, so I come by the house and I honked up. And I said, I gotta go down the road. But I didn't get back till about 2 weeks later.
Well, so you said Mary came over. How did Mary get there? She fly from
Yeah,
United States?
she flew over, yeah.
And so now you have her in an apartment in Dachau?
Yes, her and her girlfriend. I met Fred, and he was from Kentucky. Well, his wife was coming over too. So Mary and Judy, they got talking to each other on the phone, and then they set up where they was going to meet at the airport, and then they flew over together.
So this is December 69. They flew over together and they stayed in the apartment together? Did you guys stay in
No,
post?
they
or-
had
They had
Fred,
separate apartments?
Yeah, we had separate apartments. Fred got one outside of town, and then my apartment was right downtown in Dachau.
Now, so when So you just said your regular duty, did you come on duty, what, early in the morning and at night, or you never knew how long you were going to be on?
Yeah, we'd get up and at 5 o'clock, and then we'd go eat breakfast. That's when I was living on post. And then we would go down to the dispatcher, and because we already had our trucks, and then he would assign us to, well, you'd have to bobtail to someplace, and then you'd pick up a load, and then you'd go other places, so.
Did you have any security on board or ways of, so you didn't get hijacked or people wouldn't filch food or something from you?
No,
You didn't have to worry about that?
no, we didn't have any weapons or anything. The only weapons that was issued was back at our base camp in Dachau. When we had maneuvers, we'd have to maneuvers, and we'd have to go down to the supply and get your weapon and then go out in the field and act like you was having wars.
Well, of course, you were basic infantry at that time then,
Right,
but you, even though you're assigned to Transportation Corps.
yeah. One thing about that was kind of funny was because me and Carter, we was together, and we had one of the large machine guns, you know, and he had half of it and I had a tripod. Well, you know, he was out on maneuvers, so I go down and get the part that I'm supposed to have, so here I am getting my tripod, and so I go out in the field with just a tripod, right? So
This is for 30 caliber?
so here comes a lieutenant in a Jeep and probably a colonel or somebody. Well, you know, you got to salute them and hold them, and they come up and ask you questions, you know. Here I am standing with a tripod. And of course, they know that we are transportation. And anyway, so he says, where's the other half of your weapon here? And I said, well, that's Carter's half. He's out on the road. This is all I have. He says, what are you going to do, throw it at him?
Were these referees or your friendly troops? Were the
Oh.
referees, you had referees probably, that you wore bands around their helmets or something.
Right, yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, how often do you go on maneuvers?
Well, we didn't have to really go on maneuvers very much at all, because was priority one was our transportation.
Well, so now you're in December of 69, now we'll go into 70. And you came back in June. Did you get early release from the service?
I think we got out a little earlier, because it wasn't but about 2 months after I got back that I got a letter in the mail saying that I had to report up to Port Clinton. So all of our group had to go up to Port Clinton, spend 2 weeks up there moving a bunch of bricks, and we drove dump trucks up there for the Army base up there. They was doing something, so we had to go up there for 2 weeks.
Well, now, so what, you came back then, you continued doing all this service work, and you're still driving semis now all the time then, right?
Right.
And so now you're getting ready to come back. And what was it like getting ready to come back? Did Mary come back early, or she stay there?
No, she come back earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
But before we come back, I had an accident on the road where, you know, so I was trying to get off the road anyway, but I had an accident on the road. It was during the wintertime, and you drive up a lot of the mountains, you know, and it was kind of hilly. Anyway, so I parked because we had chains on our wheels. Well, I couldn't get moving, so I was going to put my chains on my wheels. Anyway, when I locked everything up to get out of the truck and go back, I started sliding down back on the hill. Anyway, it slid into this guy's little car, a Germany car over there, and did some damage. And so I had to report all that to my company commander. And anyway, so I got off the road for a while, went down to maintenance, and I just worked on trucks down there for a while before I left coming back home.
And so when you came back then, and this was in June of 70, right?
Right.
Okay, and did you fly back again from Frankfurt or where?
We went back to Frankfurt.
And the same people you were with before, all
Right,
still
yeah.
all together?
Yeah. And our whole group come back together, and we come back to Fort Dix, and then we got cleared out of Fort Dix. And
Did they discharge you in Fort Dix?
yes, sir.
And then they gave you what? How much? You had what? 7, 8? How many years of reserve did you have? Inactive reserve.
I think I forget what.
Total of 10. So you had 2 years and probably 8 years, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Did you ever go think about going active in National Guard or Reserve?
No, sir.
So all right, now you're back, and you've had the military experience. You've been in there, and now you feel like you're really grown up. Now you're back home. Mary's back already, and you had a home there that you bought, right?
Right, yeah.
So that was set up. So what did you do? You go back to work same place?
Yes, well, my sister-in-law helped us out because she rented our home while we was over in Germany. So that helped
Pay
quite
for
a
it.
bit, yeah. So, but when we got back, I started working. Well, I started working at Marsh's, back again at Marsh's, and I thought I'd try BF Goodrich. So I went out BF, and they hired me, and I worked 2 months out there, and then they laid me off, and I said, well, factory work ain't for me, because I never got laid off when I worked in a supermarket.
Sure.
So I went back to the supermarket, and that's where I stayed at.
Now the house that you bought is the same one you have today?
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Yeah. I know you made some changes in the house, though.
Yeah, we've added an extra room on and did some work on it.
Now you've been back, and your adjustment to civilian life was smooth? Any problems?
No.
Just right back in the routine bit of things? and
Yeah, right. It would have been totally different if I would probably went to Vietnam. But,
Probably may have been a little somewhat different,
right.
yes.
But
Well,
anyway, I didn't.
all the time you're in military service now, what did it teach you? What did you remember about the military service that you've taken away from it, and that you always felt helped you or something?
I suppose probably relying on your buddy, you know, that companion, that the people that you meet, you know, you grow up and you realize that friends that are really super.
All right. Well, Kent, on behalf of the Library of Congress and Citizens of the United States, the Miami County Veteran History Project, and Post 43. By the way, I think you're a member here, are you not?
Yes, sir, I am.
Post 43. That we thank you for your contribution and service to the United States. So thank you for being here today.
Well,
We
thank
enjoyed
you.
it.